Moving along to the rebuttal for that argument, behavior analysts should only use evidence-based practices because the use of non-evidence-based practices will inherently lead to harm for the client. According to an article from Capuano and Kalu in 2021, when using pseudoscientific or non-evidence-based practices, it presents several dangers for the clients, including reinforcing maladaptive behaviors and using valuable resources on practices that do not help the client further their skills. Because the first core principle of behavior analysts, based on the ethics code, is to benefit others and do no harm, it is crucial that behavior analysts only use evidence-based practices to ensure they are not posing harm to their clients. So the use of non-EBPs inherently leads to harm because of that reinforcing maladaptive behaviors, using resources inefficiently as well. And when using these evidence-based practices that are likely to negatively impact the client, either directly or indirectly through misuse of therapy time and other resources, because of this, behavior analysts should only use evidence-based practices to provide the best possible services to their client. Moving forward, we would like to share our concluding statements for each side of this debate. So to begin, for EBPs, for the side for EBPs are trusted in both the scientific and stakeholder community and are promoted to the use by the board of our board analysts certification board, and that is due to their credibility.
Using evidence-based practices is consistent with practicing within one scope of competence. It is important to practice within one scope of competence because to not do so puts a behavior analyst at risk for selecting and implementing an intervention that could harm their client. Additional risks include the intervention taking too long to make meaningful change, as well as it diluting monetary resources. We only have so much time with each client. We need to make the most out of it.
And moving on to the concluding statements for against only evidence-based practices. Evidence-based practices are trusted, as we have established, but they can sometimes get in the way of other important things like stakeholder relationships. It's important for a behavior analyst to keep good relationships with stakeholders and caregivers so that their client has the best chance of generalization to the home environment and so that they can make sure that they are really working on what is most important to the stakeholders, caregivers, and the client themselves.
For my concluding statement, it is using non-evidence-based practices can help maximize client progress by including other opportunities. Using other practices can help open many doors for our clients. The use of speech and occupational therapy is very important in conjunction with ABA. I have personal experience working with these professionals at my center, and many parents seek to use these services in hopes of developing other key skills for their child. As seen prior, the field of ABA does not have all the answers and is ever growing. Therefore, it can be considered unethical to not consider other modes of treatment. The idea of treating our clients as individuals with unique needs further proves that different treatments should be considered. In this way, we would work in the best interest of our clients to maximize their progress and independence.
Throughout this debate, many codes in the ethics code were used. So to begin, on the side for using only evidence-based practice, we used core principle 4, which is ensuring their competence, core principle 1, benefit others, code 1.05, practicing within scope of competence, code 2.01, providing effective treatment, code 2.16, describing behavior change interventions before implementation, code 2.13, selecting, designing, and implementing assessments, and finally, code 3.01, responsibility to clients.
Within the arguments for against only evidence-based practices, we incorporated the core principle 1, again, benefiting others. the Code 2.09, involving clients and stakeholders, Code 2.10, collaborating with colleagues, and again, Code 3.01, responsibility to clients.
We had some major points that we wanted to highlight.
My biggest thing that I learned throughout this presentation and project was that including caregivers and stakeholders in the creation of programming can lead to an increase in the number of hours spent exposed to evidence-based practices, which in turn can lead to better client outcomes.
The biggest idea that I learned is that there can be a gray area when it comes to using evidence based versus non evidence based practices for our clients. In some cases, using non evidence based practices can be used with proper recommendations and research. However, in some situations, using evidence based practices may be best. It really should depend on the situation and the client.
A very large takeaway from this debate that I will bring with me in my career is that it is beneficial for all parties involved to combine the strengths of the multiple disciplinary team members that are involved.
And my great takeaway was that ultimately the risks and gains imposed on the client need to be of the utmost importance when making decisions regarding interventions, whether you're choosing evidence based practices or not. Thank you all for watching our debate on collaborating with other professionals.